First of all, let's just talk about how great you look right now. I mean, wow. You look good.
I put my earrings on for you.
Oh my goodness, let's see the earrings. Wow. I mean, that looks just, what is that? It looks like Versace or something. That looks.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of fake Versace, but they're clip-on earrings because I can't wear pierced earrings.
Listen, I'm loving this. You look amazing. You look great. And thank you so much for also doing this as well. I'm really, really excited about this one.
Oh, thank you.
So you go ahead, Alice.
Oh, okay. So my name's Alice Dansey-Wright. I'm an artist and designer based in Glasgow, from Yorkshire originally. And I know Jerome from Platform. We've worked together previously at Platform Art Centre.
Yeah.
And yeah, I graduated a long time ago now, but I work all over Scotland and beyond. So yeah.
Thank you, Alice. So I'm just going to start obviously with the first question. What sort of things inspired you as a child that led you to find interest on becoming an artist and designer?
Okay. So it's kind of a mixture of things, but when I was thinking about this question, I thought probably a key thing was my mum and dad are artistic, and they always there was always a lot of art and creativity in the house. They had a lot of friends who are artists who I think seeing people doing that job helped me think, oh, that's something that people can do rather than something that people can't do, or it's not a real job. So I think that really helped make me think that it was a job that I could do in part anyway. And also, went to lots of exhibitions and consumed a lot of kind of culture like dance and music and things like that. But I would say from a design perspective, I've always been obsessed with things like branding and logos, and always collected things like shopping bags and little business cards, and just obsessed with costume and clothes. And I guess observing people, I suppose, is quite a strong characteristic for designers, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
and I've also thought recently, because of having my children, children's picture books are probably really inspiring as well.
Wow.
There's a sort of visual language, and just because I saw so many, and now that I'm using them with my kids, I'm like, oh yeah, they were actually really inspiring. Certainly from an illustration perspective,
Oh, that's amazing, Alice. And also, what would you say helped you cope during hard times of trouble?
Okay. Well, so this question, I guess the way I'm interpreting it is how maybe I've used art and design during times of trouble. Would you say is that? Yeah. I would say I've got quite a recent example of this, in that, say in the last year or so, there was a few things that were going on personally. Obviously, we all collectively are having a difficult time now, generally. But I went through a phase of thinking, is what I do, is it important enough to do during difficult times? Is it too frivolous? How can I keep doing this when I've got other significant things happening?
Yeah.
In my case, it was like bereavement and illness and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think what really came out of it, and that partly it was a process of counselling and things that helped me realise this, but that it was just that it's such an important thing for my well-being, and therefore enables me to support the people that I love and care about and beyond. So I think if you are fulfilled creatively, for example, either in your job or just as something that you enjoy doing, it allows you to have like a period of flow, relaxation. It's nourishing. I guess it just made me realize how important it was, and that it's not a frivolous thing, that it's an important thing. And it also enables you to support others if you're supporting yourself as well.
So basically, like as well, obviously you can't help anybody else before you do the help yourself, kind of look after yourself and find what is wrong with you, to kind of, like, obviously for you, your refuge was your art, and you were able to kind of go back to that and kind of refuel your emotional state, so you can also give that back to other people as well. which I think is
100%. 100%. And I was like, obviously it's my work as well as my hobby.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it had a dual thing of going, well, I really value this. This is really important and good for me. Therefore, of course, I should be doing it alongside other, taking on other things that are really heavy and really serious. And it's serious in its own way.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think it's about looking after yourself so that you can look after others and the other, perhaps more difficult parts of your life as well.
No, that's amazing, Alice. And also, were you always artistic as a child?
Yeah, I would say probably, yeah. Always loving, I just remember drawing lots of little scenes of people. So if we had gone to the supermarket, I would go home and then redraw, going on that trip and, observing again, going back to that observing. And so I would say definitely I liked writing a lot as well, like poetry and things. So,
that's nice. I didn't even know that you wrote poetry. That's cool.
I'd love to do it again, but I guess writing this time will probably be definitely from a hobby perspective.
Yeah.
But I really love it. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. And also, what is your definition of art?
Oh, it's quite broad. I think art, it can have, I think there's that thing, it can be high and low in terms of cultural value. Not that if something is low brow, if you like, that it's not got value, but it's, so it can be something transformative and reflective about society. If we're talking about, a fine art piece or something like that, it acts as a mirror, I think, for society. Not necessarily the kind of work that I do, but the kind of work that I get inspired by. So the kind of paintings, especially that I see in galleries or exhibitions, act like a mirror to society and make you question things. And I think that's part of art's role at its best, if you like.
It opens conversations as well.
It stimulates conversations, yes, definitely.
And also, how has art helped shape the world, in your opinion?
Gosh, massive. Obviously, I'm an advocate of art as a really important thing. I think what I said before about it being a mirror to the world, a sort of a means to question things and a way to be provocative, but also capture time as it passes. Obviously there's another thing about, if we go back to just like art being a visual language, it's not primarily only a visual language, but let's say if we're going back in time, that I guess visual art can be accessed by lots of different people who speak different languages, and there's something sort of nice about that accessibility, I think. And
it's a bit like as well, like when you look back at Egyptians' drawings in Europe.
I love that.
It's like obviously some of us never got a chance to actually be in those time and period of time, but we're able to kind of see them through the pictures or the drawings that were left from those ancient, ancestors. So it's kind of nice as well to kind of, it's almost like a still image of what happened during that time. It's like a recording of sorts.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, we can look at things like ancient things like that and think, well, what are the similarities with now, and how can we use language in our own way? And that, on a human level, we're very similar perhaps to people that lived millions of years ago. And it's, there's something about that shared visual language that I love about it. And recording time as it passes, so that we can learn from it, I guess.
That's so true. Also, do you think all artists, especially modern artists, get the respect and recognition they deserve?
That's an interesting one. I think there's definitely a question around, say, the conceptual art world.
Okay.
I personally am a fan of it. I value it. But I think there can be questions around the value of, say the Turner Prize, for example, every year usually causes controversy as to whether there is value in art that isn't as traditional as perhaps, I mean, you know, something like a representational painting or something like that. I think sometimes conceptual art can have a bad name and be criticised unfairly, but then maybe there's an issue about how you communicate that artwork to a wide audience and make that accessible to people as well. I think that's definitely, I value it, but I went to art school and sometimes I can't access it. So let alone, you know, it's like thinking, how do we make this accessible to a wider audience? And therefore maybe its reach and value can be shared more widely. But yeah, I think people can, it can be undervalued, especially conceptual modern art.
That's so true. I think some people forget that each individual artist have their own kind of ideas and style of the way that they showcase their own personal work, because obviously the work that each artist in the world presents comes within, you know, it's what was in their mind, and that's not something you can either buy or just get anywhere. And I think like more people should start appreciating arts from different walks of life. Do you know what I mean? Because every artist is different, and that's what makes it beautiful. You know, everybody's able to kind of see artists in different variety. Now, obviously, that we have social media is also a good way of people kind of accessing a worldwide kind of audience of different people and artists. And I think that's kind of cool to see how we've evolved from the past. But it's just, I just wished that people would also appreciate the modern artist, and, you know, and every artist that comes.
I also think there was a generational thing there as well in that appreciation, you know, like, I think about my parents' generation particularly, not that they're necessarily anti. Definitely have a clash, I think, about what we think is valuable art. Or
that's so true.
Common in an intergenerational way, by and large.
No, I totally get it. And also another one that I really want your opinion on is, I looked at an article, and this is the quote from it. It said a spokesperson for artbusiness.com said the prevailing notion in many parts of Artland is that art prices automatically go up when an artist dies, as if death trips some kind of magical instant inflation switch. Plenty of art buyers as well as artists believe in this posthumous profits in art. What are your thoughts of this?
So it's such an unfortunate thing that you know, artists could really do with the money whilst they're alive, really.
Yes.
It's an odd phenomenon, I suppose. I think it's sad, basically. And you know, things should be done to change that trend, really. And I guess it's probably been around for a long, long time. But really, we should be paying living artists properly for what they do, so they can continue to make that work.
Because that is still is somebody's job, and that is still their part. And I think that should be also celebrated and respected, because, like I said, I think the world works in a balance where we now, well, I don't think maybe a lot of people realize that, but we need each and every one of us together. I mean, whether you're an artist, whether you're a filmmaker, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a teacher, like whether you're a cook, everybody, we need each other, and all these aspects of career should be well represented and well respected. But sometimes I think there's a lack of that. People looked at artists, it's just an amusement. Yeah, you still need an amusement after you finish work and you want to take your kids, or you want to go to an art exhibition, you know, all of that, those enjoyment. That is somebody who sat down hours and hours in their living room and came up with this concept that you're now able to go and see on your free time. But that work that you're going to see is somebody's hard work. You know what I mean? I just thought, I think that people should, give the flowers while people are still alive, and give them the respect, not when they die and all of a sudden you're shoving up millions and where were the millions where I was alive? Do you know what I mean?
It's such a weird phenomenon, isn't it, really? And like there are plenty of artists that need the money now.
Absolutely.
And, it's very strange indeed. And no.
It should change.
Give the money to living artists, definitely.
Absolutely. And also, when did you realize you were an artist?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
When you knew you were like, I'm an artist, I can do this.
That's really hard because, I think it can be a bit of a barrier to folk, to go like anything that you want to become like. To say it, you have to be quite confident.
And I think a lot of people sometimes are taught not to show that confidence or just to believe that they are what they believe they are. And I think a lot of people are kind of taught to just be, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. But I always say, own it. You need to own it. You know what I mean? This is your field. If people can own being a lawyer, people can own being doctors, people can own saying I'm a president, you should own it too. Why should your opinion be less of a value of somebody else's? You should also own to your work and say, yes, I'm great. Yes, I'm an artist. Yes, I'm a designer. Yes, I'm whatever the case might be. What's your opinion on that? When did you realize yourself kind of that you...
I think there was a thing, I actually would say it was probably relatively late that I actually said I'm an artist. I would say it probably wasn't when I was at art school. It probably wasn't for a good 10 yeyears after that, maybe. Like I've taken a long time. There's a lot of people that, can do that before me. But, and I think I was waiting for someone else to say it to me, and I just think I would just say, don't wait for someone to tell you.
You know what? That's so true, because what you just said is, I think a lot of people can relate with that, Alice. And also, like you said, back then we didn't have people. Well, we did, but maybe we didn't realize the importance of the people who told us back then to, be confident on our work or self-worth. But like I said, it's like now obviously times are different and now a lot more people are realizing that. And like you said, we always want validation from other people. We always wait for somebody to tell us, you're a designer, you are a what? Do you know what I mean? It's never like, sometimes people look at it as if you're being arrogant, saying, oh, well, I'm an artist. No, you're not being arrogant. You're owning to your craft, and you should own. I think more people should, be taught to kind of take that ownership and stop getting, waiting for, approval from other human beings. Do you know what I mean? So,
because I think ultimately you as an individual hold the key to you being an artist or whatever it is you want to be. And that's me by making art is the thing that makes you an artist, rather than any necessarily like external accolades or validation or someone else telling you. And it's just not that you only have to be an artist if that's your job as well. It's quite a variable thing, isn't it? And but I would say that was the key thing of realizing I wasn't going to wait for someone to send me a thing saying yes, officially you ticked all the boxes. And then that unlocks once you sort of acknowledge it for yourself, then I think then other people start to believe you and go, oh yeah, you are,
yeah. That's so true.
It feels like the first step in a way.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. It is a big one. It took a long time as well, I would say.
That's amazing. So also, when did you develop your signature way of drawing and painting? Because I can see your work is very, it's you, if that makes sense. So how did you develop that?
Again, over a long time, as I said, it's taken me a long time. But I would say the sort of style that I guess I use now, which has probably been for the last maybe 4 years or so. It's only fairly recently.
And I can another one. I can see one of your work at the back there.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Collaboration there in the
Yeah. You see, it was ready there, ready for the well prepared Alice.
Of course, I put it there.
Definitely sure it wasn't.
It's not an accident, that. I was thinking about that question, and I was thinking, well, where did it come from? And obviously, it's a culmination of a long time and but also I would say there were a couple of projects that I took part in that really made that style come out and come to the front, and realize, oh, that's the thing. I think it was a process of what's the word, simplification, deconstructing, and refining a style, because I've always worked with line, but I think this was it further simplifying. And there were two projects I was asked to do, both of which were about adornment. So one was a series of textile designs for an exhibition called Sample, which was put on by Collect Scotland, who were sort of a CIC who support textile designers, and they commissioned various designers to take part in an exhibition. And then the other project happening around the same time was called Muse Not Maker, with my friend Swazi Carey, who's a jewellery designer. And we were looking at the role of the muse in art, so the female muse specifically. So that project was all about the female muse in art, female bodies, and the textile design was about sort of an abstraction and bodies as well. So it was kind of all about bodies, and and I just did loads of sketchbooks and just refined. And I think that's what, when it came out, like that sort of style sort of was the sort of product of those two things coming together. And that's also when I sort of started painting on clothes. And so I would say that was it's probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's really good. Sometimes I can believe it's something it can be hard for artists to have a kind of signature work, I guess, style to their work that a lot of people can globally kind of recognize. So it's good that you found that.
Yes, I hope so.
Definitely, trust me, it is.
Oh, good.
So how has it been being able to collaborate on so many projects with numerous of artists and designers?
Okay, so that's been amazing. A really lovely...
But you work with a lot of people.
Loads. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I could count how many right now, but like definitely probably more than 10 different artist designers, even in the last couple of years probably. And I would say it's got a lot of benefits to it. One thing is often I'm going to be getting to produce something that I wouldn't be able to produce on my own, like the scarf knitted thing, the fashion collection with Squint, the jewellery that I've collaborated on. So it's great that I get to sort of realise projects that I wouldn't be able to do on my own. Also brilliant working with other people. It means you're not lonely. Like if you're on my own all the time, which I am, I'm sole trader, work by myself, apart from when I'm teaching and stuff. It means you just have someone else who's equally invested in the project with you, and that can feel really lovely and supportive. And it's nice to share that workload and share the kind of worries or responsibilities,
And you learn too, because as well, in a way, I think the truth of the matter is, no matter, even if you want to start your own business or whatever the case might be, you will have to work with other people regardless. Do you know what I mean? For you to make it in the industry, it's all about working with other people, whether you're a musician, it takes the drummer, it takes the editor, it takes a lot of people in any work field. You have to work with other people, whether you're a doctor, whether, whatever the case might be. Working with other people is just something that you're going to have to do. Do you know what I mean? And it's good that obviously you do it so well as well. And the final work comes out always great at the end, which is amazing.
Yeah, I feel like I probably definitely make things that are better than what I would do by myself. And it sort of pushes you, to make something better. And you get feedback from someone going, oh, I think that works, I don't think that works. And that's great to have that sort of critical process as well, rather than just doing everything in your own little world, you know.
That's so true.
So it's been really beneficial, and I always recommend it. I mean, I recommend people that, you know, you lay out, if you don't know someone very well, maybe, you know, you have to lay out terms of how you're going to work together and, you know, all that. But I found it really beneficial.
It's amazing. Can you name 3 projects you've enjoyed working on? I know you've worked on loads, but is there any 3, you know, the list can go on, you know what I mean? And I'm sure the same with you. You know, so is there any 3 top one you could think of that comes to mind?
Yeah. So I'm going to think about, I'm just writing them down so that I don't, so that it's like, So one of the things I talk about is Squint Clothing.
Okay.
The collaboration with Squint Clothing. That's one project. Another project, I'm going to talk about Tramway, the gallery in Glasgow. And I'm going to talk about Platform as well. Okay. So I'll just start with Tramway because it was kind of a really significant project, and the project was, in a nutshell, a commission to transform a small space in Tramway to make it suitable for children and families to use. And it was, you know, in the scheme of things, it was a small project for them, but it was an open call, and it was really a significant thing for me to take part in. I applied, I had an interview, I got the job, and transformed the space. And mainly it consisted of, it's still there, but there's a mural, there's a little seating area, you know, it's kind of a little space that has been designed in collaboration with Tramway. Yeah. And I think it was 2016 that I got the job. And it was fairly near the beginning of me going fully self-employed, and it was just such a boost in terms of confidence.
It must have been.
It was hugely important, and it made me just feel like things were possible, and I felt so like amazed to be working with Tramway, and like it gave me a lot beyond, you know, just the work itself, you know,
and the respect as well that you obviously deserve, you know, which is good.
I'm so delighted to have applied for something, gone through an interview process, and have got that job, and it definitely unlocked, I think, the required confidence and some of the skills around interviewing and things for jobs to come that came after that, you know. So that was a really significant project that I remember. In terms of, I'll talk about Platform next, just because Squint maybe links into some other questions as well. But with Platform, where I met you, the wonderful Platform.
Amazing. I don't even remember the first time we actually met, which is crazy. I always feel like I've known you for a long time. Do you know what I mean? So I don't even really remember, to be honest, if I'm honest.
Like, I mean, I don't know how about you in terms of your relationship with Platform. I think yours has been even longer than mine, but I've probably been associated with them for about, it's probably coming up to 4 years now. Maybe like this might be my 4th year. And first of all, I think they're quite a unique organisation in terms of my experience anyway. Working out in Easter House and occupying the bridge as a space, and having fantastic regular programs that they offer, as well as commissioning, I think, really exciting contemporary art, you know, in quite an unusual setting for the sort of work that they
present,
alongside a functioning cafe and the sports centre and the library, and all, you know, it sort of comes together in this lovely.
It's beautiful, and it's also a beautiful building as well in a way. The way they've built it as well, it's just, I love everything about the whole aspect of it, which is amazing as well.
The flow of it and everything, and
very airy, open space, and you know, inviting. It's beautiful.
It's great to be there, isn't it? And obviously, I just feel, I think for me it's significant because they've been incredibly supportive as an organisation to me as an artist, and I know that they're like that to other artists as well. And they've been great during the time where I've worked with them. I went and had my children, and then I've come back to work with them. And it was really lovely working with the organisation through that time, through maternity leave, and actually now during lockdown as well.
It's like a family. Do you know what? It's a platform family.
It totally feels
absolutely, yeah.
To be part of it and have the privilege of being part of it for so long. And I was, you know, I just think they're brilliant, and I'll always sing their praises. But they've been so good I've done lots of projects with platforms, so it's many things, but they have been like the constant factor, I suppose. So that's platform.
I think they do open a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. Even for myself, I must say, a lot of opportunity that I got from platform, I'm still very thankful for. But you're definitely right. They do value their artists and, you know, the people that they work with as well, which has been really, really nice as well for me as well. So I'll have to say as well, I'm with you on that one as well.
I love them. And then the final one, I just thought I'd talk about Squint.
You might as well I know obviously.
Squint anyway.
Yeah. And how has it been working as well with Squint? Because I've also seen you've worked quite a lot with them as well.
Yeah, so that's been great. That was a bit of a meeting of minds, really. Like, I met Ellie, who runs Squint, when she lived in Scotland, and I think we were just mutually fans of each other's work. You know how that goes. You're like, oh, I've seen weird sort of internet dating where you're like, oh my god, I really want to collaborate you, but I don't know how to say it, and you know, we managed to tell each other, and it was a bit of a meeting of minds and styles, and we just thought, oh yeah, we just complement each other. And we're really different. You know, there's quite a big age difference between me and Ellie, and she's a lot younger than me, and she's got, you know, obviously a fashion background, and I've got a fine art background, but it was just wonderful to work on a collection with someone where, you know, so I did the print design, and it was kind of working to a brief. Our collection was called Organised Fun, and it was based on her childhood memories, really, of partly of Australia, which is where she lives now, and of things like being in the brownies, and the concept of organised fun being quite a funny concept. And I was also in the brownies and guys and things like that, and we looked at uniforms and kind of 80s and 90s textiles, which definitely inspire me. You know, there's kind of illustrative designs from that era, and it was just a lovely creative combination. And wonderful seeing her.
A match made in heaven.
It felt lovely, and I guess I got to see, working with a designer the fashion designer, you know, from her drawings right through to the launch of the collection in Edinburgh, and it was kind of just seeing it become real. And she has the skills to actually make the clothes as well. And it was great. We explored things like we got embroidery done. We had screen printing as well as digital.
They look amazing, those clothes. I've seen some of them. It's really
I love it. I've got quite a few pieces myself, which is a bonus of collaborating.
A bonus. I know, I can imagine. And I mean, as well, to see as well your work being worn by other, you know, celebrities as well, you know, obviously cosmopolitan events. There was also and I'm sure, is she in celebrities as well who she wore your work as well, the collaboration that you had with
one of the dresses to the Cosmopolitan Influencer Awards.
Yes.
And this is all Ellie's doing. Ellie, who's now based in Melbourne, and she is fantastically connected, it seems to me, online, and has a knack for recognizing, say, a brand ambassador or someone who is going to share the value of her brand. And
it's good that she's giving shine as well to other people as well, along with her, within her journey.
Oh yeah. And you know, the sort of people that she's chosen to wear the clothes, you know, or approach to wear the clothes, like Gina.
Yeah.
You know, significant people on social media, people who, Gina Martin is a campaigner, and a really interesting and important voice, and a sort of a young voice as well. And it feels like Ellie's so aware of that and so connected to that, which is real benefit for me, because I am a lot older and I do use social media, but I'm not perhaps as engaged as she is, and it's really made me think about. Partly also, I guess, learning for me about going, how do you share the values of, whether it's your brand or whether it's your practice as an artist, how do you kind of make those those values, what's the word, kind of external and you know, connect with people that might promote those sort of values. And I think that's what Ellie does. And
but you know what I do like as well about you is the fact that you bypass the age barrier. It's like arts doesn't have any age. You know, you're working with people, human beings who share the same interests as you. And this is the perfect example of it. Like I say, you allowed yourself to kind of be open to that world, and you just said, you know what, I'm just going to work with whoever inspires me, and you went for it, and this was the product of it.
Yeah, I think you get more out of it if you approach things like that, don't you? Like just going, well, I'm not going to put parameters around exactly, you know, for example, the age of someone I'm going to work with, or the demographic that I'm trying to attract or whatever. And no, it was really, I think I learned quite a lot from working with her, still learning. And it was just wonderful. It was a bit of a dream, really, to see a collection realised that had my print in it. It was a dream, definitely.
That's amazing. Also, can you tell me, how do you come up with new design concept?
That's interesting. Like, I've just done some resources actually for an organisation that are about a design process. And I mean, to be honest, a lot of the time now I am working in relation to a commission or a brief set by someone. But I still make really like old-fashioned mood boards, whether they are actual real cut and paste or whether they are a PDF.
I think it's important to have a mood board. It kind of allows you to kind of stay focused on whatever is it that you're trying to create. You know, because sometimes as artists, sometimes, we get a bit overwhelmed with ideas, but it's kind of nice when you narrow down the specific key points of the kind of tools that's helping you come up with whatever creation is it that you're coming up with on that time. I think it's important. It's quite helpful.
I think physical drawings, I use digital tools as well, but like probably all the designs I do start by being pen and ink, brush and ink, or pencil, and then they might become something. Then they'll turn into something digital, usually, eventually. But I think, drawing, it's almost like applying a filter of reduction and simplification to an object. For example, if someone said do a design based on flowers for sake of argument, then I would be drawing lots of flowers, but then I would be going, okay, well, how do I look at it with a lens that reduces and simplifies what I'm looking at, and then how might I turn that into a motif, and then obviously drawing clothes or drawing the object that it's going to be applied to. But it's lots and lots of drawing, a bit like working out in maths, where you're just always getting
so many equations. But that's great. That's what makes the beauty of your work, of course. Do you know what I mean?
Editing. I guess it's editing, isn't it? Like edit.
Always edit. Even after the final product, you're still editing in your mind. Oh, I should have did this a bit.
Absolutely. But I guess when you've got a client, you have someone who is an editor as well, or a critical voice, I suppose. So it's always important to have that sort of critical in yourself, but also whether it's the client or whether it's someone you're working with, or a peer or something, or even a member of family or something, to kind of help you make it better, I guess.
Awesome. Also, how was the experience of taking part on Scotland Redesign Show? Because I did see your clothes obviously being showcased in a fashion show. Can you tell me how did that kind of came about? And
I think I got approached because they were looking for people to do workshops. This is in 2017. I did Scotland Redesigned, and I think at the time I was really starting to do a lot more workshops around, especially painting and printing onto textiles in a hopefully very accessible way, in a sort of DIY sort of way. And I think they thought, oh, that's something that we could offer the people coming to the show, or the sort of the events.
Yeah.
But then I think through that, the people sort of running SRD realised that I also did, had some collaborations in the mix, like the pieces with Janina, and I think I also had collaboration with Homework with the skateboard company, and what else did I have? Oh, I did some painted pieces with Ema Tamilti as well. So I had I think 3 different collaborative works going on, which were all about, apart from the skateboarding, which is obviously is associated with clothing and adornment as well.
Yeah.
But I had 2 things that were about clothing at the time. So I think they were like, well, what about being an exhibitor there? So I got to be an exhibitor and run a workshop as well. And then I got to be part of the fashion show, which was really thrilling. It was kind of like...
It looked
amazing.
Great.
It was amazing to have your work on it. It was a bit like, that thing when you asked me about when did you call yourself an artist? And I think it's a bit like see yourself through a lens, someone else's eyes or filter, your work, my work in this case. And it was kind of like, I imagine it's a bit like for you, if you see a wonderful image of yourself that someone else has taken,
I'm still like, yeah.
And you think, oh God, that's how they see me. That's amazing. And it helped boost your confidence, doesn't it? And it was just amazing to go, that's my name and that's my work in this kind of clear catwalk. And it just was really thrilling and definitely a confidence boost. And part of the process involved having a mentor. And I had a mentoring session with Gemma Hare, who at the time was involved in marketing for Harvey Nichols. And it was like an hour, but it was so useful and gave me so much to think about. And I think when you kind of want to work, I don't purely want to work with fashion, but it's certainly a big part of I like and what drives me in my work. But I think it was a process that also helped me think, well, where do you want to position yourself, and what do you want to get out of working in fashion? And it really helped me think about what do I not want as well as what do I want.
What you want.
And it was it's a really significant thing for me to do, for sure.
Wow. And also, when did you started working with Platform, and how was the planning process of creating the mural project as well came about?
Oh, with you, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I got approached by Margaret, who we both know, who sort of programs visual arts there and outreach. And they had it was a mural project that she approached me about to work with Easter House Health Centre. Yeah. And they were also working with, what's the name? I'll try and remember the name of the other organisation we worked with, but it was partly funded, an NHS funded project. Oh, wow. In part, yeah. And I think it was also Thriving Places maybe too. Anyway, I was brought in because Margaret knew my work from, I've got a few murals in and around Glasgow, including in the CCA, in the Centre for Contemporary Arts. I think she'd seen that work and thought, oh, you might be someone who could come and do a mural. And it's one of the key parts of my work is painting murals and designing them. Yeah. And, that's why she brought me in initially. And I think what Platform tries to do when they bring a new artist in is go, well, how could you work with our current program, our Taking Part program, and how could the people that use our services, how could they benefit from you, and how could you benefit from them? So I came in to start working with Art Factory at the same time. Wow. Art Factory being a class for adults, and then New Gen, and and then other projects came up that seemed to work, other mural projects and things like that, and it's been fantastic being so involved, and most recently working with in this sort of new online world.
I know.
That we're working together partly and designing resources for the young children for Saturday Art Club.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about Platform already, but they've just been fantastic. And but just as lockdown was happening, I was finishing a project, although we didn't get to the mural painting part, with New Gen. Yeah. And I was collaboratively designing a mural with the New Gen group, who are a group of young people aged 11 to 17, I think it is. And we meet on a Tuesday night, and we've continued to meet on Zoom.
This is an ongoing thing that obviously happens every kind of year, and obviously gets stops whenever the school.
I think it stops every summer.
Yeah.
But so I'm hoping that when we can get access to the building again, that we can paint the mural as planned. But I guess we'd obviously have to do that in a very observing all of the guidance and doing it at a safe time for everyone to do it. But we've got it all ready to go. We've got the design ready. We've been through the process. And it was a great project to be part of.
Amazing. Yeah. Also, how important is art in a child's life?
Ooh. Well, and it's interesting because, like, being a new parent as well, relatively new parent, I guess I'm thinking about that a lot. I mean, I am an artist, so I guess slightly biased. But it feels like it's really important. I mean, at the moment I'm dealing with mine are nearly 2, so they are really young, but it feels they absolutely love drawing and painting already.
Oh, that's so adorable.
But I think maybe it's good in that, I mean, I guess it's still to be revealed, but I know that it feels that art is something that there isn't necessarily the right answer to. And I guess it's a way of exploring, learning about the world, and being creative in a sort of unfettered way. And I think that must be beneficial, just to kind of experiment and to go, well, you can do what you want, and there isn't a right outcome. Like, when they're learning to read or whatever. Yeah,
it's part of the development.
The right answer,
Yeah.
I think that must be important to go, well, some things you do, you don't need to have a right answer, and the way you do it is the right way because it's the way you do it.
As long as you're doing it.
I'm sure that's something.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah. Still. Also, yeah. Sorry, were you saying something?
I could probably go on about it for ages. I'm still, I guess, learning about what's important to kids, but and I think I'm also trying to think, how was it important to me? But I think it was that thing about going, you can express yourself, you can learn about the world, and
because I guess in a way you do see yourself through the kids as well. You see a reflection of yourself as well within them. So, which is
totally,
yeah. Also, how beneficial has it been for you being both a fashion designer and a painter together?
I guess both things inspire each other. So
they're part of the same family. That's what artist kind of is, the umbrella of all those aspects of things. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think I used to think you've got to be one thing or the other.
We all did. That's the truth.
Didn't we? And now it feels like, well, actually, why do you think that? And, again, it's that thing about asking for permission.
Yes. I mean, who is in control of this but ourselves? We are born creators. We are creators. We've been given that license in life to create and make things happen. Everything that we live through is somebody's idea. Do you know what I mean? Why don't we create? Why? We've already owned that own right. You don't need any more validation from other people to tell you, now design, now draw, now give yourself the title. Do you know what I mean?
I totally do. I totally agree. And I think it is that thing about going, I was kind of waiting to go, oh, well, I can't possibly do fashion design because I don't have training in it, or, I just have a background. You can't both do something like art and fashion. And obviously that was completely not true.
Yeah.
And I find they're complementary. And I guess I'm sort of feeling between both things. And I think I'm inspired by other artists that do that, and luckily there are other people that are doing that and working amongst mediums. So, I mean, shall I say a few people that I think are quite inspiring?
Of course, name people who inspires you,
Yeah, I mean, a few people that I've worked with include Emma Tamilty's, she's graphic design and illustration, but also applies her work to products, to fashion. She's got.
Where is she based as well?
Glasgow.
Glasgow, amazing.
Glasgow. She works internationally and nationally, but she's based in Glasgow, but has a really graphic style, very sort of geometric shapes and just amazing, precise murals. And we've worked together a few times because I guess our styles are a little bit like contrasting. And she's wonderful to work with. But I love that she, I guess, can work across quite a broad range of mediums, and has quite an interest in fashion and adornment, as well as graphic design, illustration, and mural painting as well. So it's been really great to work with her, to see the sort of breadth of what she can do. I guess I'm also going to mention, and it's not, I guess stylistically very different, but Atelier EB, have you heard of them?
No, I don't think I'll check them out, definitely.
Yeah, I'll send you a link, but they are Scottish, two Scottish women who are based in Edinburgh and Brussels. They're really inspiring. I don't think I'd seen anything like what they do, and it's a combination of an artist, a fine artist, and a fashion designer coming together to make fashion collections that are also art installations. I think you'd love it. And the way that they do their photography and have a website is really interesting. It's just, I don't know, for me, as I said, I've not seen anything like it before, and it was, even though stylistically I'm very different, it's very inspiring, and they do such interesting work and beautiful exhibitions. And make products as well. So it's that they sort of have those different elements.
Amazing.
But I will send you a link for them, because I think especially for an audience in Scotland to see, I guess an artist that I've only sort of become more aware of recently, again, based in Glasgow, but I think working beyond Glasgow certainly, is Rayen Song. I don't know if you know Rayen Song. She seems to have kind of two elements to her practice as well. Again, a more of sort of fine art practice, but also she does a lot of applique embroidery and sells amazing sort of commissioned projects that are about sewing, as well as much more conceptual art projects and costume. Really fascinating artist. And I'll send you a link to her as well.
Awesome.
But those are sort of three contemporary artists who are sort of partly or fully based in Scotland or from Scotland. And going further back in time, sort of people that I find inspiring are sort of mid-century painters and artists who then also applied their work to textiles, like Matisse and Picasso and Dali, fashion designer like Schiaparelli, who collaborated with Jean Cocteau. I guess it's that painting, sculpture, but also applying that to textiles or mass-produced things.
Which is, I always find that beautiful. You know how many times I always tell you whenever you draw something, like, I want to see it on a shirt. I want to.
Yes, you do. You totally do.
I love it. I love when art or painting meets like fashion. It's the best thing ever. I mean, if I have all the money in the world, that's what you will see in my wardrobe. Literally.
Me too.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love it too. I'm very inspired by it, and
amazing.
Wonderful.
And also, did you ever imagine yourself with twins?
I don't know if anyone does, unless they're already a twin themselves. I guess they might imagine. Right. No, I didn't. But yes, here I am.
I mean, what was that feeling like when you're going to get checked and they tell you, "Oh, actually, we can hear 2 heartbeats"? Instead of what? I mean, what was that feeling? And you're newly mom as well. Like, it must have been like, oh my goodness.
I think it's more scary if you already have children.
Right.
Because you probably think, oh God, it's really hard with one. What's it going to be like? I imagine it's like that. But I think if you don't have any other experience to refer to in terms of child rearing, I guess you're like, oh, well, this is
what it is.
I mean, we did go, and obviously went through stages of being a bit terrified, when I was expecting.
Which is natural.
But generally, I would say just delighted. And it's just so normal. I think when it happens to you and it's your reality, I think it just becomes so normal so quickly.
And how did it change your life as well?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it changes your life in lots of ways, lots of practical ways, in terms of, obviously your time is totally different in terms of, you know, I've got to be so much more focused about how I spend my time, especially, you know, how I balance my work with.
Yeah, because I was also to say, like, how did you balance, you know, both working and taking care of them and being a new mom and everything all together? I mean, how did you manage that? Because there's a lot of women and like who are in this, or even men as well, who are either single dads or whatever the case might be. Like, how did you yourself personally managed the balance of all of
and
that?
I think it's a good question. I think it's a good thing to talk about so that people understand what is behind, like, if people do have kids, how do they actually make that work? Because I think it always puzzled me a little bit before they were born. I thought, well, how does it work? And then, first of all, I did take the full, you know, the 9 months maternity as, you know, leave. And then I guess we didn't totally know. We knew we were expecting twins, obviously, for quite a long time before they arrived. So we would talk about how we would, me and my partner, like how we would manage their care.
Yeah.
And we were in a position that we could both work part-time, which is what we do for now until they're a little bit older. And so what we do is we choose to share our time and share the childcare evenly. We do have some help from family as well, which is
amazing. Which you always, honestly, I say, if you have the help, get the help. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, yeah.
Nobody who does this thing alone without, like, you know, it's okay to get help as well. And I think it's important. And that's what we're all here for. You know, as human, we're supposed to help each other. And if you can do it for somebody else, and that's amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is. And
that's amazing.
It's hard to ask for help, I think, sometimes.
That's true,
I think when we were having twins, we're like, no, we're going to ask for help.
I don't think that's something people should be embarrassed about. I think that's something you should own. Like I said, there's nobody who goes through this life alone. You know what I mean? Without having somebody to help them, in whatever walks of life that they walk through. Do you know what I mean? You know, if you can be any sort of help for somebody else, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's definitely a combination of both being able to work part-time and managing the care and obviously, having help from family as well. So it's that sort of those things that make it work on a practical level.
That's so good. And also, would you say, are you happy with the woman that you are today?
Oh, that's a big one, isn't it, Jerome? I don't know. I would say in some ways, of course, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard not to be self-critical, isn't it? Like, I would say I'm generally quite very positive person, but of course, there's loads of things that I could do better.
Yeah. I mean, you're always learning till the day you die. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, yeah.
That's
I think so. And I guess you probably question yourself even more when, with having the kids and being like, well, what role model are you going to be?
Because they look up to you.
I mean, you should think about it before they arrive, but it's like going, oh God, I've got these two looking at me now, and you know, just think, right, how do I? It kind of makes you want to step up, I suppose, and improve. Definitely improve.
And also, what would you tell your younger self if you can go back to the past? Like, what is it you would tell your younger self?
I love that question. Because I would say I definitely, because when I left art school, I didn't do anything to do with art for about 8 years after leaving art school. I lost a lot of confidence in art. And I think I went through some phases of not thinking it was a possibility to return to it, things like that. Yeah. And I would say to that person to trust yourself, to be patient, and that everything that you're doing is part of a bigger picture, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. Like I've had loads of different jobs, and I think some things I've done, I thought, well, how is this relevant? And you know, how am I going to get to the thing that I want to do by doing this? And I think looking back, you think, well, it actually all adds up, and it's an experience. And you know, yeah, I think I would say something along those lines, you know, especially about being patient and about trusting your instinct and trusting yourself. And like going back to what we said about, you know, naming what you are rather than letting someone else do that for you, sort of thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really good. Also, what is the greatest lesson of life to you?
Oh God, well, these are the big ones, aren't they?
I know.
I don't know if I know the answer to that. I don't know. I mean, I think you're right in saying that you're always learning. Like there isn't a point you get to where you're like, oh, I know everything now, or I'm, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. Yeah.
And I don't think I realised that until, you know, not that long ago.
That's okay. That's okay. There's no shame in that. Everybody has a different journey. Everybody's journey is different. Do you know what I mean? So it makes sense. And also, do you have anything to tell everyone during this quarantine?
Oh God, yeah. Well, it's a very tricky time, isn't it? And I think people's experiences really vary during this time.
Yeah.
Really, really vary. So it's, you know, we're having a shared experience, but we're also having very individual experiences within this time. I don't know. I think probably what I'd go back to is, you know, when you asked me about times of trouble and, you know, artwork, and I think I would probably go back to that and go, if you're questioning how important it is to be creative or to pursue something like, you know, design or, you know, and think, oh, is it important in this context?
Yeah.
And I think I would go back to that question you asked, and my answer to that being, well, actually, you know, if it's something nourishing to you, that kind of is good for your soul and allows you time away, if you like, some sort of space away from the day-to-day, and the time to be in flow and creative, then it absolutely has value. And it could be something, especially if you're a younger person, you know, it could hold the key to something that you do in your future as well. And it'll also enable you to process this strange time. So I guess looking at it from a creative perspective, like, don't undervalue those creative exercises and think, oh, well, they're not worth doing, or, you know, that they still have a place in a time like quarantine.
Wow. I mean, how inspiring are you, Alice, right? No, but Alice, honestly, thank you so much for your time. And I know, you know, you're obviously busy, you know, with a lot of things, but I really appreciate you coming here and sharing your story and inspiring other people. And I can't wait when this is all over for us to meet again. But I know, and to hug again one day. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But
you're such a joy.
I know.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alice. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. And tell everybody I said hi. And
I will, of course. I'll give them a hug.
Yeah, give him a virtual hug for me, okay, Alice? Yeah. Thank you so much, Alice. Mwah.